Hi from my platform, Linda's TV show. If it is your first time, you are welcome. Please, after watching this video, if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe, put on your notification bell to all notification. It is very, very important because it will enable you to know when I upload a new video. Here we upload videos on daily basis as it is happening. We are bringing it live and direct, undirected to you. After watching, you are free to criticize, you are free to say your opinion, but let us say it constructively. Myself, Linda, will be standing here watching this video together with you from the beginning to the end. Then we'll go to the comment section. I appreciate you all, my lovely subscribers, followers, those who comment and share this video.
So what do you make of Tinubu's call for healing, first of all, as well, and then just juxtapose that with your tweet? Because I know you did tell me that you got a lot of reactions,
yes, I did.
And they were not good reactions. They were quite offensive as well.
Very offensive. In fact, I was quite surprised to see what some people I thought would understand my tweet, or where my tweet came from, came up to. I won't mention names. But the first thing I have to say is that tweet was posted out on Monday morning. So having had such an interesting weekend, if I can put it that way. But let me start first of all, and it was made before the president-elect made his statement around healing and condemning the ethnic slurs and the division over the weekend. First of all, I'd expressed my thoughts during the newspaper review, aligning with what Mr. Feni said in terms of the fact that whilst this was a very important speech or statement to have made, it should have been done during, not after. This is after the fact, as some people would say. It's a statesmanly statement. However, unfortunately, things have already happened. There have already been incidents where there was physical violence that, what started off as just slurs and abuses, then degenerated into actual attacks and people, relationships fragmented over the last week. In fact, some people said it's taken us back years in terms of the gains we've made post the Civil War. In terms of, people question, why are we spending money on NYSC to promote cohesion if we're still going to come back to this during election times? So again, I'll just say that it was important to have made that statement pre and call his people to order so that they did not, continue to speak that way. In terms of my tweet, I would give an analogy, very brief analogy, and that is, if there was an accident whereby you see a man who is bleeding, the first thought at that point is not who did this, is to save the life of the person on the floor so that he doesn't lose his life. And that's what I was speaking to, because I was speaking to individuals who had destroyed relationships, neighbors who had become enemies, family members who had cut off speaking to each other. And the fact that having done all these things, we now begin to repair those relationships, begin to build, because at the end of the day, whether you are for or against the results of the weekend, what we all want is a Nigeria that works. We all want to build a nation that is one, a nation that stands. And so that's what my tweet was about, in terms of we need to begin to work. And sometimes when you're doing something or saying things, you don't remember the repercussions of the words that you have spoken or the actions you've taken.
Well said, Ayo. Well, in the meantime, the governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, has congratulated Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his victory in the February 25th elections in a live broadcast. Soludo said Anambra was ready to collaborate with the federal government to achieve a high standard of development in his state. Soludo also urged Tinubu to release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, affirming that Kanu is a crucial stakeholder in the realization of sustainable peace in the southeast region.
Let me also congratulate the president-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his election. One critical issue that we must draw your urgent attention is the issue of systemic insecurity in the southeast. While our efforts with the security agencies are yielding significant results, we believe that sustainable peace and security will be enhanced through wider non-kinetic engagements with all critical stakeholders. And hereby request our President-elect to please release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu immediately after swearing in. That is, if he is not released before then.
Well, Charles Chukwuma Soludo has joined those congratulating Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He also called on INEC to up its game as well. Dr. Bati, what do you make of both stories?
Well, I mean, there's nothing to argue about here. Just the governor of Anambra State congratulating the president-elect. Don't forget that in a statement that he issued, a part one statement that he issued before the election, he had predicted that the election will be won by the two major front runners, in which case he was referring to either Tinubu or Atiku. And some people have said, well, he seemed to have predicted right. But the important thing, two things. He talked about the need for reconciliation. He talked about the need for restructuring. He talked about the need to strengthen our electoral processes. He talked about reform in such a way that citizens' political participation in the democratic process can make more sense. And this is more or less what everyone has been saying, that look, there's a lot of work to be done. And he pledged that, Anambra State, under his watch, is ready to work with the federal government and the president-elect to continue to move the country forward. So largely, a very optimistic, positively tuned statement, because somewhere in that statement he was saying he has great hopes about the future of Nigeria. So contrary to the kind of pessimism that we see around. However, he also talked about certain issues of interest that are local and maybe also national. One, security situation in the southeast. Well, he as a governor of Anambra State will of course not overlook the fact that there are still security challenges in the southeast. And he wants the president-elect to address that. Yes, not just in the southeast, everywhere. After all, before the election, one of the issues that all the candidates addressed at the federal level was the issue of security. Two, he called for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and he's been consistent in that regard, saying that, look, Mazi Kanu should be released. Nigeria should not follow the route of saying, only the courts can determine the case. And even the Igbo elite, have also asked for, some kind of political solution to the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu matter. And number three, he said, with regard to the elections that were held in Anambra State on March 18, that, his party, APGA, popularly known as Akuga, will challenge some of those results. And he emphasized the need for anybody that is aggrieved not to take the law into their hands, but to go through legal and constitutional means. So these are just, nationalistic, statements to douse tension and to give people hope. And at the end of the day, he says, let's work together. Let all of us work together. So he, you could say, is one of those persons who think, look, Nigeria has decided, so it's time to move on. It's time to heal. It's time to face the bigger issues. Others may well disagree with him, but that is his position, and that is the position of the president-elect, and that is the position of many Nigerians, that it's time to move ahead.
Absolutely. Rufai, I know you guys had an extensive conversation.
So what is currently going on is what we call narrative plotting. Yes, the narrative plotting is de-escalate. We know how these games are being played. De-escalate, de-escalate, de-escalate. But my problem with narrative plotting is the fact that over the years, why injustice has continued in Nigeria is because when things happen, we plot a narrative, we de-escalate, but lessons were not learned. And that's why those things can happen again. We remember what happened in the 90s in this country. We remember how people plotted a narrative, made concessions. We returned to democracy. The same people that fought in the 90s have not still learned the same lessons they complain about. And now people have been hurt in our country. We have divided our country along the lines. Yes, I understand what Governor Soludo is saying. And by the way, there's still something happening in Governor Soludo State, the arrest of Chude. Somebody should talk to us as regards that.
Yes, I
because
mean,
he was arrested in Anambra.
Yes.
So because that talk has been going on for a while.
I saw that. Somebody
I saw
actually
that
tagged
too.
me this morning saying that he's still under detention.
Okay. It's easy for people like Governor Soludo to say, yes, we need to develop. And truly, we need to develop. We need to heal. We need to forge ahead at a point. All right? But on what basis do we do it? That's the cardinal question people are not willing to answer. See, in 2007, we had something like this. Umaru Musa Aradoa came out and said, I know the elections that brought me in were fraught with irregularities. And he showed the path to healing by setting up the Waste Commission that put a lot of proposals down for how elections can be run. You will see that that was a man that was willing. But in all of this, while we start to plot the narrative of the escalation, let's not forget that it was after this election, Mr. Bayo Onanuga tweeted what he tweeted, and he further seconded it by saying, I have no right to apologize for what I said. So because when people see that it backfires, they try to twist the narrative. But for all of us that are saying, or all the people that are saying we should heal, without introspecting and being circumspect on what happened. For all of those that are saying we should heal, without due apologies for Okpe that was punched in the face, and Ayo that was threatened at the polling units, and people that were caught with cutlass in the back. I'd like to ask them a question this morning, Audrey. And I would like to quote my favorite rock band, U2, because I'm a huge fan of Bono and U2. He asked a question in a song called Crumbs from the Table. He said, would you deny for others what you demand for yourself? That's the question I would like to ask them.
Right.
Would you deny for others what you demand for you? You demand justice for yourself, but are you trying to deny others justice and that right? He also further said in the song Crumbs from the Table, he said, you are breaking every heart, but you think every heart mends. So for people that break hearts in this country, they truly think every heart mends. Because it's so easy to use the word healing when the spoils of war is in your favor. Let us introspect deeply and ask ourselves, let's role play. If this was done to us, are we going to be told to snap out of this?
All right, Rufai. We'll take another story. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has challenged the former governor of Enugu State, Chimaroke Nnamani, who accused Obi of projecting ethnic and religious bigotry to show proof where he portrayed such an act. Nnamani made the allegations in a series of tweets shortly after his defeat at the senatorial poll. Nnamani accused Obi of using his devious opium served to Christians and to Igbos domiciled in different sections of Nigeria to set the political trajectory of the region 24 years back, and also alleged that Obi used the message of hate, bile, and incitement to subjugate the people of the Southeast. Peter Obi, in response, said that he is the direct opposite of the picture painted by Nnamani, and that he has always championed issue-based campaigns. Obi's statement reads in part, I find it very shocking that you had to label me as an ethnic and religious bigot, and as one who indulges in a campaign of hatred. In this instance, I like to state unequivocally that I am the direct opposite of what you said in your statement and what my campaigns have been. I want to believe that my dear older brother must have mistaken me for someone else, because in this campaign, I have consistently championed issue-based campaigns and maintained so, even using illustrations and data to buttress my position, to the extent that I have been accused of using data wrongly, and media houses had to create fact-check desks just to monitor and address issues I raised during campaigns. For that one, he got that right. Yeah. You know that that was Peter Obi's rhetoric the whole time. Go and verify. Wow. But I mean, I think that it is quite irresponsible for Mr. Chimaroke Nnamani to have put out that tweet. I don't know if we can pull up those tweets that he sent after he lost his senatorial seat. Ayo.
All right, so that's his tweet. It's very easy for one to read the litany of tweets by Senator Chimaroke Nnamani as just rantings of a sore loser. It's easy to say it that way. because, and I'm glad that Mr. Peter Obi responded to the series of tweets, because Senator Nnamani projects himself as a banner and a statesman and says that he's a leader, particularly from the Southeast. However, his statements or the things that he has said and his actions have not been statesmanly. When you make allegations or you say things that are heavy, like what he's accused Mr. Peter Obi of doing, it is important that you come with facts. And then, unfortunately, he came to, or he's speaking to someone who is a fact checker, so he verifies facts himself. One thing I have to say, for the records, is that one of the things that a number of observers praised Mr. Peter Obi's campaign for was his not using or attacking the person, but an issue-based campaign that he ran. People said, oh, you were going to places, you were going here and there, but we saw the opposition do even worse. And following that, I mean, Lagos State example is one. The Lagos State governor, after they had accused Mr. Peter Obi of going to churches, who then became a church greeter at the end of the day. These are examples that we see and we think, okay, you cannot accuse one man of doing something and then you go on and use the same strategy because it was not. But it's the people who are saying that this is, it's not for people like you. Don't go home if you're not from this, if you're not going to, from this tribe, if you're not going to vote, are the real people that Senator Nnamani should be speaking to.
And you made that point, really, because I'll take some reaction. Let me take just one from Sandra, who wrote, there's only one candidate that said, Emi Lokan, Yoruba Lokan, and topped it off with a same faith ticket. That candidate ran on entitlement, ethnicity, and religion with his full chest. That person is not Peter Gregory Obi. Well, this whole conversation is coming as the Chief Whip of the Senate, Orji Uzor Kalu, on Tuesday said that it is his turn to become president of the Senate in the 10th National Assembly. While speaking with journalists, Kalu said that he is the highest ranking senator from the Southeast and therefore deserves the position.
If we practice true democracy, I should not be in contest with anybody in this position. Because apart from the Senate President himself, Deputy Senate President Omogege, the Senate Leader Gobe, I'm the highest ranking member of the Senate. The Nigerian people will pray for me to be Senate President because it is my turn.
Well, all right, Dr. Abati, really quickly on this story.
Okay, two quick things here. First, Mr. Peter Obi, he seems to have mastered the art of issuing rebuttals without being offensive.
I love it.
Because if you look at that his statement in which he responded to Senator Chimaroke Nnamani, former senator representing Enugu East, who lost in the recent election, he must have used the word my brother, my elder brother, my dear brother, about 4 times.
I knew you were going to pick on that, yeah.
And after debunking all the allegations against him about being a religious and ethnic bigot, which he says he's not, and that he was preaching about character, competence, compassion, and that in any case, it wasn't only Igbos that voted for him, that non-Igbos voted for him everywhere, you know, where he took his message to. And he thought that Senator Chimaroke Nnamani may have mistaken him for someone else. You know, such very polite insults. And then at the end of the day, he said, well, Senator Chimaroke Nnamani says he needs some lessons in certain aspects of leadership and needs to go back to school. He ended his statement by saying, why do I have to go back to school? When I have my dear brother, Senator Nnamani, knows a lot about leadership. Rather than go back to school, I'll come and learn at your feet, of course. All of that is tongue-in-cheek. But he was able to make his point. However, I think in this matter, you, Assad, must prove. If you want to push Mr. Peter Obi further, you will tell him, well, sue Senator Chimaroke Nnamani for defamation. Because he has made claims about you that you say are not true. He even called Peter Obi, he referred to him as Gringori. I thought he was going to call him Gringori or Kafo.
Gregory.
But he said, no, he said Gringori. That's what he wrote, you know, which is also like, a slur, almost dismissing him as a comedian, you know. But what we can just appeal for is that, look, political leaders, people that people look up to, should just try to be very civil with one another. You see there, Peter Gringori
playing with his middle name.
how he has set Igbo political tragedy 24 years back. Not many people will agree with that. If anything, with the obedient movement, he has further promoted, not just Igbo interest, the interest of those who want change in Nigeria, because he consistently said he's not seeking to be Igbo president. He wanted to be president of Nigeria. Right. To go to Senator Oji Kalu, the chief whip of the 9th National Assembly, where he says he wants to be Senate president, and that in fact the Senate presidency should be brought to Iberi, his community in Abia, and that he should be brought to his family, because as a ranking senator, it is now his turn. Yeah. Emilokon. So this Emilokon is a confirmation of the nature of Nigerian democracy. I mean, Nigerian democracy is turn by turn. It's turn by turn. I hear now that, in fact, one developing scenario is that when people see a beautiful lady, they just call her and say, my friend, you look good, Emilokon. It's my turn. Okay, so that is what you get, but this turn by turn should not be the emphasis, particularly in political leadership, in public service. The emphasis should be on service, should be on capacity to deliver. But the APC has not yet zoned the offices. We are hoping that the leadership of the 10th National Assembly of Nigeria will be on the basis not just of political advantage, but on the basis of competence, of ability, of readiness to serve Nigeria, and that 10th National Assembly will not turn out to be another rubber stamp assembly.
All right, we'll take another story. In the wake of the rhetoric from certain quarters in Lagos State that the state belongs to the people of Yoruba extraction, the Ooni of Ife, Adeyeye Ogunwusi, has declared Quilombola, an Afro-Brazilian settlement in Brazil, as Yoruba territory. The colonization ceremony took place on March 19th in Quingoma community, which is popular for housing Yoruba people who were enslaved and forcibly removed from their base in Nigeria during the era of the slave trade in Africa. The monarch said the recognition of Quilombola as Yoruba territory is another step in the fight for respect of African history, and that the move will help preserve the rich and robust history of Brazilians and Yoruba people. Well, this whole conversation, Rufai, I'd love for you to talk about it, but I want to play a video of Dino Melaye. He raised the alarm that thugs of the All Progressives Congress will invade Abuja, in a video now making the rounds on social media. The video was made in the wake of the declaration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president-elect.
As I'm speaking with you, area boys in Lagos are already relocating to Abuja. There's excitement in the highland. All the bad boys, the area boys, are already planning to move to Abuja, where their grandmaster is relocating to. And I want to say, very soon you will start seeing snatching of bags, you will see snatching of phones, you will see breaking into people's cars, because area boys will invade Abuja. Marijuana will become very popular. Drugs like cocaine, heroin will be sold like pure water on the streets. And people like MC Oluomo will relocate to Abuja. And NURTW will now also take over the metropolis of Abuja. We should not allow that to happen in a sane society, in a civil society.
All right, this is what we see. I mean, I don't know how funny that is with the Ooni of Ife actually colonizing that territory, calling it the Yoruba territory.
I think he just did that, also, because of culture, to appreciate the culture of the Yoruba people there. But they can't colonize the territory. That's not possible. So are you saying you are going to go and collect the taxes from that area in Brazil and be paying it? No, you can't do that. I mean, it's just for the cultural interplay, and I understand it. You know, there's a particular
Quilombola.
state that in Bahia, in Brazil, where you have a lot of people of Yoruba extraction that were taken during slavery and the likes and all of that. So I see the cultural interplay, but you cannot colonize the territory that is Yoruba because you don't have the constitutional powers. That area is still under the country called Brazil, and they have their laws. So I think, but if it's cultural exchange, I get the fact that there are a lot of Yorubas that are dominant there. Coming to Dino Melaye, it's shocking that he said that, but it's sort of like a prediction. But it's just been hysterical that thugs will invade Abuja. But the question we should ask is, didn't thugs invade Lagos during the elections? Is it fair that in a society like Nigeria with Nobel laureates and intellectuals, we are coming on TV to talk about thugs beating people up on election day? So even if we are saying Dino Melaye is hysterical, but for the fact that we're not need to nip in the bud this thuggery going on, this threat on people's lives, then it looks as though they have power. We've forgotten in a hurry because we're so quick to say let's move on. But we forget in a hurry that somebody threatened the lives of people before the elections, and the police representative said we should take it as a joke. But all the things he said will happen to Igbos, happen to Igbos. So these are the conversations we should bring forward when we are talking about healing. Where is the justice? We can't build a society this way. Dino Melaye is being hysterical and all of that. But the truth is, let's look at what happened in Lagos on election day. We all want healing for this country. We all want peace, we want prosperity, we want development. Nigeria is a great country. But you have to start with a pedestal of justice. Because even investors, the only way investors come and invest in your country is if they see that justice is done. And the world is watching us. You think it's like before? Everybody's watching us.
Yes, Dr. Bati, we have 20 seconds to end the show.
The point about the cultural linkage between Africa and diaspora is the perspective, the context of the Onis visit. In Jamaica, they have Calabar High School, which is a school as old as 1912. Originally Calabari High School, but changed to Calabar. In Jamaica, they also have a place called Bekuta, which is named after Abeokuta. So we have this shared heritage that people like the Oni of Ife continue to promote.
All right, then.
But thank you very much.
Thank you. I wish we had more time. Thank you all for your great analysis as always. Well.
Thank you so much, my wonderful viewers, for watching this video together with me from the beginning to the end. Like I said before, if you like what you see here, if you like what I do in this platform, as you have finished watching this video, please hit that red button that says subscribe and put on your notification bell to all notification. In that way, you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. Share my videos, leave your comments in the comment section constructively. Until I meet your way again in my next video, I still remain your Linda's TV show. Bye-bye.